GM. Today's lesson, I'm going to talk about being normal and how you shouldn't be normal if you want to be successful in the market. So, this is an extension of what I posted in my journal. And this one, I'll pre-warn you, this lesson is going to probably leave you with more questions than answers. And it's designed to make you think. But it all starts in the premise, and I realized this several years ago, that if 90 to 95% of people lose money in the markets, they must all share some common traits, right? They must all do some similar thing that makes them losers. You can't lose. You can't have a 95% failure rate without some type of pattern emerging. And I actually realized it. Well, I realized it just before, but it was during COVID, the very, very, very start of COVID, that it really hit home with me. Because as much as I've always been aware to not kind of follow the crowd, I was always pretty contrarian my whole life as a person. But I think a lot of you will understand this too. I only realized how contrarian I really was whenever I saw how sheep-like people were during COVID. Just blindly following mandates with masks and lockups and social distancing, all the bullshit. We don't need to go over that again. But it really hit home with me, not from a perspective of about people and their actions, I don't really care about any of that. But it made me realize, the numbers, the statistics are undefeated. 95% of people are that type of person. And that is the same type of person who loses in the market. It's the same part of your brain. It's the same crowding herd behavior. It's the same wanting to fit in with the crowd. It's a defense mechanism. It's for protection. If you stood out from the crowd thousands of years ago, you were a target. You would have got killed. You had to fit in with the crowd. Don't ruffle any feathers. Don't put up a fight. Just blend into the background. That's fine. Cool. These people get by in life perfectly fine. Totally normal. Normal is okay in every other area of life except the markets. You can't be normal in the market. You just can't. You can't think normal. You can't act normal. You can't behave normal. That doesn't mean to behave impulsively or irrationally, because actually that is exactly what the normal person does. So normal doesn't mean rational, because normal people are anything but rational. If you were rational, you wouldn't have went into a restaurant with a mask on, sat down at your table, took the mask off, had a bite of food, put the mask back on in between bites. That's not rational. That's highly irrational. So don't confuse normal with making good decisions. So in the markets, there's all this bullshit conventional wisdom. The most shitty ones are belief in chart patterns, belief in indicators, belief that you should buy low and sell high, that you should buy stuff that's cheap and sell when it's expensive. All this shit that gets pushed onto newbie traders guarantees they will fail. So you have to begin to think differently. When your emotions tell you to do something, you don't have to do the opposite. It's not as simple as that. You have to be aware of your emotions and understand what they're trying to make you do. The people who lose in the markets are the ones with no discipline. The ones who are driven by their emotions. The ones who feel that sense of FOMO and urge to buy, and then they buy. All you have to do is nothing, and you beat those people. If you can just, you don't have to overcome that emotion. You don't have to master it. You don't have to know how to perfectly trade it. But if you know to just do nothing, you'll beat the people who consistently buy at the top and sell at the bottom. The fear and greed are going to hit you no matter what. I get them all the time, every single day, looking at the market. It's an automatic reaction. If you see a sudden move, to have a shock, a little bit of fear, a little bit of greed. That's normal. Every single trader, all the most successful traders in the world, every single one, feels it. Because we're all human. The difference is, do you act on it or not? So that's the first thing about it. Normal behavior is impulsive, irrational, and very, very lazy. Normal people are constantly buying these bullshit diets to make them lose weight super fast, or to gain muscle super fast. Everything has to be 30 days, 14 days. They're living on this perpetual cycle of 30 days. They get paid every month. They have subscriptions every month. They can't think more than a month ahead. The average person, 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That number is probably even higher, as the statistics always get underreported. And I think 45 or 50% couldn't find $1,000 if they needed it in an emergency. So what does the normal person do? The normal person clearly doesn't plan for the future. Again, a terrible thing if you're in the market. You must plan for the future. You must think long term. Even as a short-term trader, you must think about your portfolio and your compounding of growth over months and years. It's really this simple. All you have to do is list all the characteristics of the average person, the normal person. The lack of discipline, the lack of foresight to look to the future, the impulsive nature, the cycles of fear and greed, the inability to follow a plan. All these things, bound by their emotions, wanting a quick fix, believing what they see on the news. You ever notice that? How the news causes these little market movements that makes people panic and sell? Or FOMO in and buy? Again, normal people do that. It's not going to happen overnight. You are still going to have all these normal emotions. You're going to feel all this stuff. But I urge every one of you, start to work on this right away. Start to recognize the traits of a normal person, which shouldn't be very hard to do because that's literally every single fucking person in the world almost, and relate that to markets and work very, very hard on not being that person. Because it doesn't matter how good your strategy is, your system is, it doesn't even matter how good your risk management is. Over time, if you think like a normie, you'll fail at this game. Now the good thing is, you're now armed with knowledge that most of these people will never have, that can immediately catapult you into the 5 or 10%. Doesn't mean you make millions overnight, but you can begin instantly to think like those people and avoid thinking like the normie.